they need to think of the people and let them come back to East Liberty. They're supposed to have that first choice because they didn't have no choice of leaving. They had to go wherever they could find their place.
We don't have a whole lot of faith or trust in one another, and we don't have a lot of opportunities to be proven wrong. Very often in terms of what to expect, especially with urban redevelopment of yesteryear in the city of Pittsburgh has been pretty ugly, and the victims of it have been African Americans. It's a very tricky thing, and it really requires a lot of relationship building, which is one of the reasons we're doing things the way that we're doing them here.
About what the face of gentrification means, because I think a lot of people who move into neighborhoods and with really good intentions, like the story, really do have a great fear of somehow, just by their skin color, they're an image of gentrification.
For me, the word gentrification is just that, it's a word. I'd rather stick to actually a real conversation about how people are feeling and what the issue is, and because I think people can get the wrong impression. You get into the sort of the word gentrification and people start to speak in shorthand, and you don't really end up knowing what people mean.
And I was out in the parking lot, just gathering up the random carts and pulling them up to the front of the store. There was a woman and her daughter that I noticed to the right of me, putting their groceries from the cart into their giant Lexus something or other, huge monstrosity. And I was minding my own business, but I couldn't help overhear whenever the daughter, she was probably 12, let's say 12, went to take the cart up to the front of the store, and her mother stopped her and said, "Oh no, honey, they pay poor people to do that for us."
What do you think about a lot of the changes going on in East Liberty right now?
The gentrification? Well, one of the most interesting things visually right now is the Penn Mall apartment that they tore down, and now you can see straight up in the Garfield. That is very interesting because now it's just a whole new view, and it's, for 30 years I was used to seeing this whole big building and being cut off from the neighborhood right across, but now we can see into the next neighborhood. Another interesting thing going on, again, is the gentrification that they're slowly but surely trying to do with tearing down the housing places. No, you can't have the potato chips yet. The housing that they've torn down, which in a way was a good thing, but if the old tenants are going to be displaced, that's a whole different thing. Because what they're doing is they're tearing down a lot of these city dwellings and displacing people out to the suburbs and places that are not easily accessible. And so I don't feel all that great about what they're doing in East Liberty right now. But I think if everybody can come together and sort of get in on it at the same time, then maybe I'll feel good about it.
Gentrification is the idea that the people with money, the gentry, come in and take over a neighborhood and invest in the buildings and spruce it up and recreate it for themselves. Well, it starts with a few artists moving in, and then there's a cafe, and then the more timid people who want a little excitement start coming to the artist cafe, and then they think, oh, well, we could buy a little building and fix it up. But because they're timid, they have to get rid of the sort of the element that's there. So they have to get rid of the poor people and make it safe for themselves. And so the 99-cent store goes away, and then all of a sudden there's a Starbucks and a Taylor Loft, and it's a new place. And poor people are gone. And poor people fear this because they know that basically, as soon as the artist cafe opens up, that you're intended to move out.
Cats aren't realizing that, all the money that you make out here is going somewhere else. Like, you think the owner of Hip Hop City lives in the 206? For real. I mean, I know a lot of cats over here that own businesses, and very few of them live in the 206. My friend Danny got Floss's hair salon. She lives in the 206. Aside from that, it's Arab cats, it's Jewish cats, it's white cats that get out of here at 6 o'clock and go back to the suburbs wherever the hell they from. Meaning that every dime that you give them, it goes out of your community. That's the bottom line. These cats are not. You cannot get mad about seeing your community change because you haven't decided to change it yourself. You haven't done anything positive to change it. So when you see the bulldozers come, it's the same thing they did on the Hill, 45 years ago, whatever, when they decided, whenever a long time ago, when they decided to build the Civic Arena and basically like bulldoze people's homes when a few people were still even in their homes. They didn't even know that the property was sold. And Pittsburgh having the lack of cohesion as far as the black community is concerned, don't get unified when you start to get kicked out. You're supposed to be unified when you see the bulldozers coming. When you hear about the bulldozers, that's when you're supposed to do something. Or maybe even 10 years ago, you were supposed to do something. You know, don't get mad that there's a Borders, a Starbucks coming to your neighborhood. You didn't bring the good change, so you got to shut up.
They have to understand that they come into a neighborhood that's gone through a lot of changes, a neighborhood that welcomes new opportunities, but at the same time, we must be sensitive to those words, identification, those words of affordability, those words, can we get along, whether it be the homeless or the woman of section. We have to make sure that we can all get along, because that's what, to me, community planning is all about, and making sure that, you know, that we can all get along, because if that's not the case, then I guess then all this hard work and all of this what you see is happening around here is really for nothing.